Hey folks, how you doing? Welcome back to another episode of this podcast. So today we're gonna review a Babylonian myth. This is the myth of Gilgamesh. Hope you like it. So 4,000 years ago, in the city of Uruk, there was a king. This king's name was Gilgamesh. He was not a normal man. He was not an ordinary man. He used to have two-thirds of God and one-third of human. So he was really strong, he was real handsome, he was wise, but he was also an arrogant tyrant. He used to oppress his people, challenge men to constant fights, and claim for the right of first night with rights. So the people of Uruk really start praying to the gods for help. So the gods actually heard them and decided to create a counterweight to this king Gilgamesh. So the goddess Aruru took clay and created Enkidu. So Enkidu was the opposite of the king. He was a wild man. He was really strong and big, way more bigger, and he was all covered in hair. He used to live on the steppe with the animals, just eating grass and drinking from the watering holes. He used to be compared with a goat. He was really ignorant of the civilization, and a hunter once discovered it, and he was really fearful, so the hunter asked Gilgamesh for help. The king sent a priest named Shachmat to civilize the beast. Shachmat basically just seduced Enkidu, and after 6 days and 7 nights together, wink wink, you know what I mean, Enkidu tried to return to the animals, but they were really fled from him, so he was no longer one of them. He was no longer accepted. So he had acquired a human consciousness and reason. So Shachmat told him about Uruk and Gilgamesh. So Enkidu was really outraged by the king's tyranny, especially for that really right first night, and he just decided to go back to the city and challenge him. So the match was really explosive. When Gilgamesh tried to enter at the bride's chamber, Enkidu just blocked his way, and they started to fight really firstly in the streets and shaking the walls. And well, Gilgamesh eventually just won, but just narrowly. So they just basically, instead of killing each other, they recognized each other's strengths in that moment. And at that moment, an unbreakable friendship just was born. They became brothers in arms. So they were really, really close now. With Enkidu by his side, just Gilgamesh just calmed down and just he started to propose dangerous adventures. So he wanted to travel to the cedar forest to kill its guardian. There was a monster here, and the name of the monster was Humbaba. He was actually a giant. And well, Enkidu, who knew the forest and knew it was really dangerous, tried to dissuade him. But the kings will prevailed, and they just basically start traveling really far away, and they were armed with really giant axes. And upon the arriving, Humbaba tried to scare them. But with the help of the son of the god Shamash, they managed to corner the monster, and then Humbaba begged for mercy and for his life, basically. But Enkidu insisted that they must kill him to avoid the wrath of gods later. So Gilgamesh just took the monster and cut down the secret setters to make a gate for Uruk, and he just basically take the axe and cut his giant head. So they just came back as heroes. Its splendor caught the eye of Ishtar. Ishtar was the goddess of love and war, and she was real impressed by Gilgamesh's beauty. So basically, goddess Ishtar proposed to him, but Gilgamesh, with a brutal frankness, rejected her. Gilgamesh just started to listing all the goddess' previous lovers and boyfriends and the terrible destinies that all they suffer. For example, one of them was turned into wolf, another one was turned into a bird, and then with broken wings and some really bad stuff that happened to all of them. So the goddess Ishtar was really furious and humiliated. So she ascended to the heaven with the gods and demanded that her father, the god Anu, give her the ball of heaven to destroy Gilgamesh. So the ball just descend and start causing earthquakes all over the city and drying up rivers, and hundreds of men just die instantly. However, our group of heroes, Enkidu and Gilgamesh, just attacked this ball. Enkidu just grabbed the bull by the horns, and Gilgamesh stabbed him with his sword. And to add another insult to injury, when Ishtar cursed them from the walls, Enkidu turned off one leg of the bull and threw it in his face, showing that he will do the same to if he could reach it. So after that, the arrogance comes at a price. So the gods, meeting Kolsin, Anu, Enlil, and Shalma, debated, and they had to kill Humbaba and the bull of heaven. They said one of two must die. They decided it will be Enkidu, who had no divine blood. Because just remember, the other guy, Gilgamesh, is still being 2/3 of a god. So Enkidu was just a creation of gods. So they decided Enkidu, this beast man, is going to be the one who's just, since he just don't have any divine blood, he will just die. They want to kind of have a punishment on them because they killed just this giant and this bull. So after the gods decide that, well, just Enkidu became really seriously ill. He was really ill. And for 12 days, he suffered delusions, coursing the secret gate, and a lot of bad stuff happened to him. The hunter and Shachmat, for having brought him into the world of sorrow, to later recant and blessing Shachmat for allowing him to meet his friend. And finally, Enkidu just died. Gilgamesh was just heartbroken. He mourned his friend for 7 days and 7 nights, refusing to bury him until a worm fell from the corpse's nose. But after the pain came something worse. This is terrible. Gilgamesh looked at his friend's body and saw his own future. So he was just wondering to himself, will I not also die like Enkidu? He was really feared. He just got a lot of fear about that. So this king left his throne, put on some animal skins, and wandered in the wilderness. And not seeking glory, but he was actually now seeking an eternal life. So Gilgamesh decided to search for Inhabit Us. That's the only human who had survived the great flood, and to whom the gods had granted him immortality. So the journey was almost impossible. Gilgamesh fought with lions and combined a scorpion man who guarded the passage of the sun to let him across the mountains. Inside there was just absolute darkness. On the other side, he came to a jewel garden where he met Siduri, the divine tavern keeper. So Siduri, seeing him, he just take a look at him and tried to close the door. But Gilgamesh told him his story, and he was just, his emotions about his fears. And Siduri just gave him one of the most famous pieces of advice in the ancient literature. Gilgamesh, where are you running? You won't find the life you're looking for. When the gods created humanity, they assigned death to it. Life was held in their own hands. You fill your belly, rejoice day and night, dance and play. Let your clothes be fresh, bathing water. Take care of the child who takes you by the hand, and make your wife happy in your embrace, because this is man's destiny. So Gilgamesh just ignored this advice, and he was really obsessed. His obsession was so strong, and that Siduri just turns out that she just told him where to go to find this guy Urshannabi. The ferryman who could cross the waters of death after foolishly destroying the ship's stone, rigging in a fatal rage, Gilgamesh have to use rods to push the boat of Eustanim, the far one. When they finally meet, Gilgamesh asks him for the secret of immortality. Uptanism told him the story of the Great Flood. That was a really very close story. That was a really similar story to the one of Noah, written centuries before in the Bible. So there was basically the same story, right? There was a guy with a ship, and he just put every single animal he could, and there was a really great flood and all the stuff that happens in the Bible. So after that, just the gods were really annoyed by the nose of humanity, deciding to exterminate it. That's basically just the... Actually, one difference here is that this guy, Noah, that his name in this history is Uptanasem, after being just saved by this flood, he just basically, remember this guy just built an ark to save his family and animals, and as a reward for surviving, the gods made him immortal, basically. But there was just that unique event. That's what Uptanism told Gilgamesh. So who will gather the gods for you? Well, just however, to test whether Gilgamesh deserved the eternal life or not, he sent him a challenge. He told him, overcome sleep for 6 days and 7 nights. If you can beat sleep, death's younger brother, how will you beat death? So Gilgamesh just sat down and instantly fell asleep. So he slept 7 days actually, and when he awoke, Uptanism challenged him and sent him back. But out of a pity and the origin of his wife, he revealed one last secret. At the bottom of the sea, there was a plant that restored youth. It did not give you immortality, but it did make you younger, basically. So Gilgamesh tied a stone to his feet, sank into the sea, and get that plant. So exultant, he decided to not eat it alone, but to take it to Uruk to share it with the elders and then eat it himself. So he just basically, on his way back, Gilgamesh stopped to get a little bit of fresh water at the river, and he just left the plant on his shore. Then a snake, smelling the fragrance of the plant, came out of the water and just basically ate his plant. And instantly shed its skin, becoming young again. So basically this snake was the luckiest one, because he just got this powers of being super young again forever. So Gilgamesh came out of the water and saw what just happened. And he was really sad. He just sat down and wept barely. All his effort, all his suffering, just had been for nothing. So the opportunity for eternal joy can be just lost forever, So he was defeated. So he just decided to return back to Uruk with the ferryman. But when he reaches the gates of the city, something suddenly came up to him. So Gilgamesh just looks at the immense walls that he had built for the city. And he looked at the foundations, at every single baked brick. And the temples and the orchids, basically, he just take a closer look to the whole city. And he just turned back to Abbey, and instead of being really sad or start lamenting or hesitating, he just pointed out the greatness of the city. And Gilgamesh finally understood a really important lesson, or the lesson he was meant to learn. He will not live forever, but his legacy, the city, and his work, that will be really, that's what it will actually endure long after he passed away. So the king had died, that's metaphorically talking, but the wise man had been born. Gilgamesh wrote his travel on a stone, so he just wanted to, save it for history, and he achieved the only immortality possible for a human being. That's the remembrance and all the legacy he just left. So, what do you think about this myth, guys? This is a really interesting myth. It combines a lot of stuff, and I think it was really interesting. The first time I just saw it, I was really stunned by how wonderful a history it was. I mean, it was like a really great series or movie, and so I really enjoyed it. So that's why I decided to bring it here to you today's. So hope you enjoy it. We will see in another episode. Goodbye.